For This Week in Washington, I'm Brian Darling. The death penalty and the Supreme Court's year in review are the two big issues this week in Washington. The Supreme Court struck down a death sentence in Louisiana for a man who had raped an 8-year-old girl. The court held that the death penalty was constitutionally barred for this crime and should only be reserved for crimes that involved a victim's death. This is yet another case where the Supreme Court has engaged in judicial activism and created a brand new right for violent criminals. Congressman Paul Broun of Georgia has introduced an amendment to the U.S. Constitution to provide that the death penalty is constitutional for convicted rapists of children less than 16 years of age. Conservatives want to make sure that judges don't read new rights for violent criminals into the U.S. Constitution. Please read Legislative Lowdown and Human Events this week for conservative issues coming up in Washington. In the past year, the Supreme Court has decided cases on the rights of detainees, the rights of individuals to own a gun, and the limits of the death penalty. The Supreme Court's 2007 term is over, but the serious analysis has just begun. Was this term a victory for the conservative bloc, or did Justice Kennedy again prove a spoiler in the most important cases? The Heritage Foundation will host an event titled Scholars and Scribes Review the Rulings, the Supreme Court's 2007-2008 term, at the Heritage Foundation on July 8th at 10 a.m. as a distinguished panel of scholars and scribes analyze the latest term of the court, the justices' performance, and what it all means for America. That's This Week in Washington. I'll see you next week. For more information, log on to heritage.org and stay tuned next week for more news and information.